Good morning, everyone. Well, good morning from me anyway, and welcome back to Design for More. If you're here on YouTube, so seeing me on video, messy hair, don't care, because I woke up this morning to such a great question from a listener of the podcast. And so I wanted to just hop on right away while I was in the energy of it to answer. So if you were with me in episode 13, I kicked off the strategy series by going into the projector strategy of waiting for the invitation. And if you were there with me, you know how passionate and how long I've been waiting to have this discussion, because I so often see this interpretation of this wisdom as unfortunately quite narrow and quite literal. And what happens when it's transmitted that way is that it can often feel very disempowering. And so I am so excited to bring an expanded perspective on not only why the invitation is important, the magic that it brings to both the projector and those people whose energy they are here to guide, but also very importantly, all the things that you don't need to wait for and all the beautiful shining that you can be doing so that you can magnetize the best, the juiciest, the most abundant, the most deeply recognizing, like, I see your brilliance and I just value it, and I'm so excited to invite it in invitations ever. I want to bring a story in here because this came up with one of my projector clients. She had left a high-profile corporate career to start her own consultancy. She is brilliant. She can walk into a company and see immediately what's missing, what's not landing with their audience, and how to make their messages clearer, sharper, and more effective. But she often had this experience. One executive, one decision maker would recognize her brilliance. They'd invite her in. We need to see you. We need what you're saying. But then came the team, the other stakeholders, the board. And suddenly what had felt like an open door started to feel like walking into a wall. They just didn't see her the same way. They questioned the strategy, they minimized the value, and they didn't buy in. She was left feeling so confused because hadn't she been invited? Didn't she already have recognition? And why did it feel like it was slipping through her fingers? Here's the thing. Invitations are powerful, but they're also contextual. An invitation from one person doesn't guarantee buy-in from the rest of the group, because recognition isn't transferable. It's not, if I see you, everyone else automatically will. Recognition has to happen at the level of each individual, or at least the key ones whose energy shapes the group. So this mini episode is really for the projectors who felt the sting of being invited by one person, but not the whole group. You know, it's like that moment when someone recognizes you, they bring you in, and then you hit a wall with the rest of the team. Maybe it's in a corporate setting, maybe it's in a family dynamic, or even in a group of friends. One person sees you so clearly, but the others just don't. And that can be really sticky, that can be confusing. Sometimes I'm sure it can feel like, was the invitation even real at all? And so we're going to explore this together. Why does this happen? What does it mean? And how can you navigate these group dynamics without losing your energy, or importantly, your sense of self? Let's start with a quick grounding. In human design, projectors have what's called a focused and penetrating aura. When you land with your aura on someone, they feel it. You see into people. You notice things about their patterns, their energy, their potential that they might not even see themselves. And this works beautifully one-on-one. It's why projectors are such powerful guides, coaches, and advisors. When you're invited in, it feels magical, like your insight clicks into place, like you are the missing puzzle piece. But when we move into group dynamics, things get a little more complex. Because in a group, there are multiple auras, multiple energies, multiple levels of openness or resistance. And being invited by one person doesn't automatically mean that you're received by all. Recognition also isn't permanent. It's alive. It can shift or fade. Someone may see you clearly one moment, and then as the dynamics evolve, their openness might close, their attention might move, and their recognition might waver. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It doesn't mean that your gifts aren't real. It just means that the field changed. So let's pause here. If you're a projector, how does that feel in your body? This idea that recognition isn't permanent. Does it feel like a relief to stop making it personal when it fades? Or does it bring up some sadness? Like I thought I was finally seen and then it went away. I want to name that both are valid. And this is where we get to the heart of the episode. What do you do when you're invited but not by everyone? First, you keep shining. You do not start proving. When you feel the recognition slipping, it is so tempting to try harder, to explain more, to convince, but proving energy drains you and it pulls you away from your natural magnetism. So don't convince, shine. Keep showing up in your clarity. The right people will feel it. And if the group isn't with you, that is great information. Second, notice when the recognition fades. Instead of pushing against it, let it show you something. Maybe the timing isn't right. Maybe the group isn't ready. Also, maybe this isn't your space to guide. And that is not failure. It is clarity. Third, protect your energy. Ask yourself, am I still invited here? And not just by one person, but by the group, by the field. And if the answer is no, you get to choose whether to keep pouring yourself in or step back. And this is where rest and boundaries matter. Because if you keep pushing in a space that doesn't recognize you, bitterness is inevitable. And that is not where your brilliance shines. Fourth, get clear in your offers. Sometimes the challenge is that one person says yes, but they don't actually have the authority to bring the whole group with them. So build in checkpoints. Ask, would it be helpful to share this with the wider team? Or maybe who else needs to be on board for this to move forward? That way you're not caught off guard when recognition from one person doesn't translate into group consensus. You've named it. You've honored your own energy. You could perhaps even delegate to the person who did recognize you and brought you in. Make it their responsibility to do the convincing. And finally, know how to step back gracefully. Sometimes the most aligned move is to leave the room, to stop forcing, to say, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for this invitation. And I trust you'll reach out if and when it feels right to continue. That is not giving up. That's protecting your aura, your energy, your wisdom. That's honoring your design, and it creates space for future invitations and frees you up for the ones that are already in the field waiting for you. And I want to remind you of something really important here. Projector, you're designed to be recognized, to be received. And that's why it feels so good when it happens. It's like completion, like your whole system finally exhales. But recognition isn't a one-time ticket. It's an ongoing exchange. And if it fades, if not everyone sees you, if the group isn't aligned, that is not a reflection of your worth. That's the dance of energy. Your role is not to chase the room. Your role is to shine, to rest, to rest, to rest, to rest, and to align yourself so the rooms that are ready will find you. So if you've ever felt the sting of being invited but not by everyone, please remember this. You don't need to force it. You don't need to hold on tighter. You certainly don't need to convince. Keep shining. Keep resting. Keep being visible in your truth. Because the rooms that are ready for you, the teams that want your brilliance, the people who recognize you so deeply, they will find you. And when they do, it will feel like sweet, sweet success. Until next time, Projector, keep shining. I see you.